Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited because in today's video we are doing a 24-hour reading challenge. Yes, I did just get out the shower. It is definitely way too warm for me to be wearing my super thick Sanderson Witch Museum sweatshirt. Yes, it is super warm for me to be wearing my Sanderson Museum sweatshirt, but I wanted to wear it anyway, especially because it is super cold in my room. Anyway, we are doing a 24-hour reading challenge where I pretty much try to see just how much I can read with exactly 24 hours. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that this video does span over a few days. That's mainly because I was a lot busier with work than I expected to be. It was quite a bit to get done before I took off for the long weekend. It is Labor Day as I'm recording this. Plus, I had an unexpected visit from my nieces and my nephew, so I made sure to spend lots of time with them. So throughout this video, what you're gonna see is that I pause the timer every time I am not reading for an extended amount of time until we hit 24 hours. So I do read 4 books in this reading vlog. I read A Soul to Keep. I read Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. I read The Tea Dragon Society, and we ended off with Wolf Gone Wild. So if you want to hear my thoughts on those books and just stick along with me for the 24 hours, then continue on to the video where I shall throw you back to last week and you can see me go through the 24-hour reading challenge. A little bit of disclaimer that you will see that in the beginning of this video I tried to pick off of my physical TBR, but I am a mood reader through and through, so that didn't happen. So I'm gonna cue it to vlogging me now. Wow, this lighting is really something. Hello, good morning. I'm fucking exhausted. I got up a little bit earlier than usual just because I needed a productive morning. But anyway, we're gonna do a 24-hour reading vlog where I'm gonna try my best to read for 24 hours straight. I am hoping, if I can film this correctly, I'm hoping to get to books on this shelf because this is my TBR shelf and damn, I'm not even close to reading all of them. So let me show you the hopeful TBR for this reading vlog. Some things I'm hoping to read in the next 24 hours is The Sundown Motel and Breathless. I'm hoping to get to those 2 on my shelf. At bare minimum, if I have time and I feel like it, I'm also hoping to get to A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. And then I have a couple of Kindle Unlimited, like fantasy romance, paranormal romances that I'm also hoping to get to today. For now though, I'm gonna go to the grocery store because I need food in my house and I'm gonna get a coffee because I'm fucking exhausted. So those are my hopefuls for the next 24 hours. I will get started reading in a moment. For now though, I do need to run to the grocery store just to pick up some bits to eat today because I don't have anything in my fridge. I also lost a nail this morning while I was showering, so fun times for me. And I'm also gonna go grab a coffee from Dunkin' because I'm so tired. I don't think I've ever accomplished as much as I've accomplished in the first 3 hours of this morning. It, by the way, is 11:22. I plan to officially start the readathon at like noon. I started A Soul to Keep on Kindle Unlimited. I'll have the book up here so you know what I'm talking about. I'm literally only 2 pages in. It's 531 pages. Oh my God. It is fantasy though, so there's a lot of world building to kind of happen. That's where I'm at right now. I'm still super tired, but I have a coffee in the fridge and I'm making myself some mac and cheese, but I literally spent all morning working. Like just boom, 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 boom. Finished almost the entirety of my to-do list. I have 1 task left and damn, I am drained, but I'll update you when either I've started my next book or when I'm halfway through. This reading vlog will be chaotic, just a heads up, because I'm going to be reading as I normally would be mood reading, which means I'm reading a little bit of one book, a little bit of another book, a little bit of another book until I ultimately finish all of the books. But we have 24 hours to get through them, so let's just have some fun. Hello, it has been approximately 2 hours and I've read all of 5 pages. I did make a nice latte though, and I made mac and cheese from scratch, so there you go. I thought I'd be more in a reading mood, and I feel like I will be just at night because I'm definitely not like a day reader. I can sometimes be, but nighttime is what I'm really like. Let's read all the things. But 24-hour reading vlog, I shall push through and try to get that and hope that this coffee I'm drinking does not give me anxiety because, ooh, that caffeine sensitivity really is something. Okay, it is many hours later. It's about 6 p.m. I am 21 or 22% of the way through A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. I love it. But are you surprised? No. I love pretty much any paranormal romance. If the hero is not human, I'm into it. But I haven't even told you what the story is about. But now that I'm 20% of the way through and know for sure that I'm going to finish it tonight, let me tell you what this story is about. So, A Soul to Keep follows our main character. I'm forgetting her name, but she's our main character. She lives in this very small village, and in this world, people are constantly under threat from demons. And worse than all demons is a dusk walker. But around the village and her villages nearby, the dusk walker comes every decade to collect a human bride, a human sacrifice. Our girl, our main character, is sacrifice as a bride against her will. Her town essentially is like, yo, you go or you spend the rest of your life in prison and you won't have a good time. She's like, fine, I'll go with the demon. I fucking hate all of you anyway. Because when she was 7 years old, demons attacked her family, murdered and like viciously slaughtered and ate every single member of her family. But she survived, went into town, and the town was like, yo, you're cursed. And her life was not pleasant. After that point, they blamed her for the death of her family, and they then forth blamed her for everything bad that happened in the town. She is then marked as a bad omen. So, of course, it's a paranormal romance. So we're following her and the Dusk Walker, who has taken her as his bride, fall in love. It's over 500 pages, but I am really enjoying it. Our Dusk Walker hero, his name is Orpheus, is so cute. Like, he's just so sweet, and I genuinely love him. Viciously murdering and eating people aside, it's his animal instinct. It's just part of the book, okay? He's not human. He is literally a demon. So, I am really enjoying it. There have been small things that bothered me here and there, but I want to get to the end of the book before I give you my final thoughts. Until then, it is getting kind of dark, mostly because it's going to be thunderstorms. My phone is dying, so I'm going to need to charge that, and I'm going to take a break to prepare some dinner and to just watch a little bit of TV, but I'll see you when I'm like 40 to 50% of the way through the book. I just have to say, Orpheus is so fucking cute. He's like in his little inner dialogue, and he's like, I want to lay my head on her lap, and she liked the tea that I made her, and she made like a little trinket, and he keeps it in his room above his bed because it reminds him of her, and it's just so sweet. Like, all of his inner dialogue is about like how lonely he's been and how he has no one to talk to. And our main character, Rhea, talks to him, and he's talking about how nice that is and that she's not afraid of him, and she asks him questions about himself, and he's just so sweet. At the same time, Rhea has obviously been taken by a demon. And that's her internal monologue, but I don't want to spoil anything. I just wanted to come on and say, like, he is so sweet. And if you love like a hero who is completely like obsessed with our main character and is just so in love with her and would do anything for her, I think you might like this. Good morning. I tried my best to finish A Soul to Take last night, but it is over 500 pages and I was only able to get to the 60% mark. I am still really enjoying it. Don't go into it expecting like this massive plot. It isn't. It really is just the two characters falling in love and you learning more about this world and this magic system, the demons, the dust walkers, the demon king, things like that. And it is honestly a really good time. I'm enjoying it. It's not a literary masterpiece, but I think it's exactly what I was looking for if you're looking for like a cozy paranormal romance. Like I said, where the hero is super in love and just obsessed with taking care of the heroine, then I think that you might enjoy this. With that said, I fell asleep at about 12:35 last night. I stopped the timer, so I have about 12 hours and 3 minutes left in our 24-hour reading vlog. Of course, I do work, so I'm going to pause that timer anytime I have to stop for a meeting or for a work task so that it can be a solid I read for 24 hours. With that said, it's time for breakfast, and I'll see you when I finish A Soul to Take. Okay, so I did finish A Soul to Take. I really, really loved it. I'm a little bit tipsy on Moscato. I was working for a big chunk of the day, so I paused the timer and just resumed it now. I loved it so much. It was so cute. Okay, anyway, so the reason why it was a 5-star is that something that happened towards the ending of the book made me extremely uncomfortable, and I was just like, that's unnecessary. I'll tell you more about that in my final review of the book, but just wanted to let you know I loved it, and the sequel is out in October. If it was out now, that would be the next book that I'd be reading, but for now, I'm gonna switch over to Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. Checking in because I'm almost done with Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. It's been about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I started this at the beginning of the summer, got to page 140 or so, and just got super distracted with all the other things I was reading and just life in general. I've been reading for about an hour and a half, and I got to page 285 or 290. I'm somewhere around there right now. It's a super quick read that I was able to read that much in this short amount of time. I should be done with it within the next half hour or so, and then I will share my final thoughts with you.
The next day.
I am on my way to drinks with a friend. I hate vlogging in public. I just wanted to let you know that so you could have context for the clips you just saw and are about to see. I decided to walk across town, so it'll take me a minute. My days have been so much busier than I thought it was, so I've had to pause the timer. I had an unexpected visit from my little nieces and nephew, by the way. Sweat, as always. From my nieces and nephews, so I paused the timer then. I have about 4.5 hours left of the 24 hours, and I'll resume that when I get home from drinks. But for now, enjoy this beautiful scene of our cocktails. So normally I would put some aesthetic music over this, but because this reading vlog is a little bit chaotic, I wanted to do a voiceover. I didn't give you my final thoughts on Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating until the end of this video. It was good. I ultimately gave it about 3 stars or so, but it was forgettable, even though I enjoyed aspects of it and felt the conversations were important. From this point on, you'll see more clips of me hanging out with my friends, and also I have started a Wolf Gone Wild at this point, so you'll hear my thoughts on that in a moment. I am home. I am in my pajamas, not that you can see, so I don't know why I tried to show you. I'm literally about to take off all my jewelry, put my hair up in a proper bun and not this very slick one, and take all of my makeup off. I resumed the timer when I was on the bus ride back up, and I am currently reading Wolf Gone Wild, which is about a werewolf who has been cursed so that his inner wolf, an alpha wolf, essentially never leaves him alone, and he is constantly harassed by the urges and impulses of this inner wolf and the witch who is trying to break his curse. It is really funny and like I was gonna say sweet, but mostly just funny. If you really liked Venom and you want to read Venom fan fiction, that's kind of what this is. I have 4 hours left on the timer for this 24-hour very chaotic reading vlog, so I'll update you when I finish the wolf story. You can see the book here, so you know what it is. And I also want to let you know that I also finished the Tea Dragon Society yesterday, which was so cute, and it felt like such an autumnal book. It's a pretty simple graphic novel about someone who raises tea dragons. Essentially, you harvest the leaves from their antlers and it makes this beautiful tea, and it has a found family element. So I really enjoyed that, and I gave that 4.5 stars or something like that. But I will let you know when I am done with the book here that I'm reading right now. Good morning, everyone. Okay, I finished A Wolf Gone Wild last night. I did end up giving it 3 stars. There's only so much I could say without spoiling it. It was not my favorite thing, but I did have a good time reading it. It was a solid 3 stars for me. If you've read this book and you've gotten to the ending of this book, you know exactly what Disney movie it will remind you of. Okay, that's all I can say. And for me, I really hate a cheesy, villainous dialogue right at the end. Excuse me, that's my leg shaking. No, I hate it. It makes me feel like I'm watching a children's TV show and I am reading an adult romance novel. I do not want to feel like I'm watching a children's TV show, but that's not specific to this book. That is literally any book with a villainous dialogue. I'm just like, shut up. I literally don't care. But anyway, I have lost 2 more nails in the time. That concludes a 24-hour reading vlog. It took so much longer than I expected it to, just because I ended up being super busy with work, with hiring, with family, lots of things going on. So I am happy to see though just how much I'm able to read within Okay, my leg has to stop doing that. So I am happy to see just how much I'm able to read within 24 hours. I did end up finishing 4 books. Not one of them was on my physical TBR, but most of them were on my digital TBR. So as you saw, we read A Soul to Keep. We read Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating, the Tea Dragon Society, and we wrapped it up with a Wolf Gone Wild. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading vlog. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'm gonna cue it to outro me, who will give you my full and final thoughts for every single book that I read, or I might intersperse it throughout the vlog. Whichever one I do, let me know what you prefer in the comments, just because it usually does take me a couple of days to finalize my thoughts on the book that I read in a coherent way. And I will cue it to outro me. That concludes the 24-hour reading challenge I just did. I really enjoyed it, and I was super happy with the books that I was able to finish within 24 hours. I would love to do one that took place over 48 hours just to see how much that I can read. I just was not able to do it since I was so much busier than I expected to be. It is the middle of the day and I am hyped up on caffeine and a little bit not overwhelmed. It was just like I couldn't find the phone thing so I can record this video. So you're set up in a very odd position as I record this outro. So I want to start with my final thoughts and reviews for all of the books that I read. This will be a slightly longer portion of the vlog. You will have seen all of my initial thoughts, but as I mentioned as I was reading, it always takes me a few weeks to get my final thoughts on the book, and even then, as I continue to think about it and more time passes, my ratings typically change, which is why I rely on my reading journal so much. But anyway, let's start with the first book that I read, which was A Soul to Keep. I love this book, mostly because I loved Orpheus so much. I love paranormal romance, a romance that's kind of cozy in a like cabin setting in like the underworld. Definitely worked for me. I really had a great time, but as I mentioned, I could not give it 5 stars, even though I really enjoyed it, and that's because the ending made me uncomfortable. There is no way for me to talk about the ending without spoiling the book. So the next portion of this little clip here will be spoilers. You will see spoiler in big block letters, so you know once that word disappears, that means I am no longer talking about spoilers. So it's not easy for me to talk about the ending of this book, but I do have to talk about it to let you know why it made me so uncomfortable. So a little bit of backstory here for the character. Orpheus is a Duskwalker, and Duskwalkers start off as kind of just darkness. They develop sentience, bodies, physical appearances, faces, thoughts, the ability to think, intelligence through consuming humans and through consuming animals. That's how they do so. But very early in their lives, they don't have a lot of conscious thought. They are just darkness and shadows, and very just, they're not sentient, okay? They exist there and they have very little understanding of much of anything. So when Orpheus was a little further along in his development, he decided that he wanted to take a mate because this owl witch person told him that he could take a mate, and loneliness is something that these Duskwalkers can develop as they continue to consume people, and he had started to develop loneliness. One of the first brides that he took, he was with for 5 years, and then she runs away, seeks safety and security somewhere else, and tells Orpheus, "I always hated you." So this character comes back in the end. This is a massive spoiler, so please be mindful of the wording here. She comes back in the end, and our main female character is kidnapped, taken there, and the character is lying to her and saying, not our main character. This character, who was Orpheus's first bride, one of them, comes back, is lying to her and saying, "Oh, I'm here to rescue you," but really she's here to get her revenge. And there is a section where she's talking about "Oh, you don't have to feel ashamed because you were sleeping with Orpheus. I know that you did what you had to do to survive." But our main character knows that Orpheus is really kind and loving and devout to his partners, and he would never do something that he believed the partner wouldn't want. This is what made me uncomfortable, because when our first bride character comes back in the end, she's talking to our main character, and she's of course portrayed to be this ridiculous villain, just an absolute horrendous selfish person is how she's portrayed. But she's having this conversation with the main character of I had to have sex with Orpheus for 5 years and I really hated it. And our main character responds, "Well, did you say no?" Now, this first bride character, she says, "Well, no, I didn't say no. How could I have said no when I thought he would kill me and he would eat me because she is his prey?" And I don't think that was handled well, because our main character then is "Well, you created a nightmare of your own making. If you had said no, he wouldn't have continued. He wouldn't have wanted to do anything that you weren't comfortable with. You led him to believe that you were comfortable." And that was so disturbing to me, and I hated that so much, because even though even though this first bride character had not said no, she was still in a situation where she had been kidnapped and believed that her life was in danger at all times. Regardless of how kind Orpheus would have been, she was not in the position to give consent. She was not in the position to say no, because she genuinely believed that if she said no, she would have been killed. That is not consent. And it just made me uncomfortable, because this bride character, this first bride character, was a villain for other reasons, but that aspect of the story I don't think was handled well, and just made me extremely uncomfortable. Spoiler free is over. I think the conversation around sexual assault and consent was one that I just really do not feel was handled well. I don't think there was enough nuance, and I feel like our villain character ended up being a very exaggerated villain and someone the author was definitely trying to make us hate. There were plenty of reasons to hate her, but the conversations around consent was not one of them. Okay, so 4 stars for that book. Let's go to the next book. The next book was Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating, which you can see right here. I actually started this book at the beginning of the summer, put it down, and decided to finish it during this 24-hour reading blog. I started back up at about page 140 or so. I did really enjoy this story, but it felt very similar to the author's previous book that I had read, which was Hani Wars. Kind of like that, but this relationship was more developed and I liked their interactions. Of course, as always, I really enjoyed the conversations that were had about family, culture, finding yourself, being true to yourself. So I did enjoy it. With that said, I don't think that I was in a young adult contemporary mood. I ended up giving this like 3.5 stars. I rounded that up to 4 stars on Goodreads. I don't have a lot to say about it other than it wasn't really memorable and I can't say I cared that much. So the third book that I then read was Tea Dragon Society, and I really enjoyed Tea Dragon Society. I felt like it was such a cozy, simple book to enjoy. It is a graphic novel about like this young character who decides to learn how to raise tea dragons and them kind of coming together, found family aspect, and raising these tea dragons together. And tea dragons are like these cute little fuzzy animals, and on their little antlers grows leaves for tea, flowers for tea, things like that. Mostly I really enjoyed the artwork. The story was simple, but it felt very cozy, and I really loved the found family aspects. It was literally like less than 70 pages, I think, so there is not much to say about it other than I gave it like 4.5 stars, almost 5 stars, because it was exactly what I needed. If you are looking to get in the autumnal cozy mood, this is a great book to read. It goes through the seasons and it's just a fun, enjoyable time. Our final book was Wolf Gone Wild, which I also gave 3 stars to. Now, I don't think this was a story for me because although I do love a paranormal romance, I think this book was trying a little bit too hard to be funny. I don't think that's a universal thought. I think that is a me problem. If you really liked Venom and you are a big fan of comics and Marvel, I think that you are going to enjoy this book, especially if you like paranormal romance. For me, it felt a little bit too simple. I didn't really believe the relationship between the 2 characters. I believed that they had sexual chemistry, but I didn't believe in their romantic chemistry. I love the like southern setting in like October, November. That was really fun and cozy to read. I liked learning about the magic system, but some of the plots towards the end really just fell apart. I said this in the reading vlog and I stick by it. If you have seen a certain Disney movie and if you have like seen Marvel movies, it's not going to be hard at all for you to guess who the villain of this story is. I can't talk about the ending and why it didn't work for me without spoilers. So once again, spoiler bar. If you want to read this book and you don't want to be spoiled for it, please skip ahead to the final part of this video. The word spoiler will be gone from the screen when I am done talking about the spoilers. The ending was so fucking ridiculous, it literally upset me. Not because it was problematic, but because it was childish. Here's why it was childish. We could very easily guess who the villain was. What their motivations were was that she wanted to stay young and live forever. Okay, Mother Gothel. Anyway, she had essentially been targeting Mateo as a wolf so that he would lose control over his like humanity and kill his mate. And in killing his mate, that is how the witch would be able to finalize the spell and get her youth and continue to live for an extra 100 years. Now, most mythical creatures in this world have a pretty long lifespan. Vampires can live thousands of years, witches can live hundreds of years, usually somewhere around 300 years. So she would have already lived for a long time. Here's why it didn't make any fucking sense. She is in New Orleans, I believe. There is a head coven in New Orleans, very powerful witches. She would not have stood a chance of fighting against this coven. So when she knew that Mateo's mate was one of the witches in this coven, which there's no way she would have known just how the magic system works, all of these mythical creatures know each other, and this witch coven is very well known. They are in fact in charge of removing powers from those who are misusing it. Why the fuck would she have continued to use Mateo once she realized who she was getting involved with and who she was messing with? Does not make sense, because she wouldn't have. She's been living for thousands of years. This is obviously not her first spell. She even said it's not her first spell. She would have gone for a more obscure situation, a less well-known werewolf, someone who wasn't directly involved with a powerful witch coven. It's not like Mateo was any stronger than any other werewolf. It wasn't going to make her spell last longer. So I don't see why she would not have backed down and continued to stay anonymous if her ultimate quest was to be young and live forever. Second of all, the Disney movie I'm obviously referencing is Tangled, because in the end, when Mateo is trapped in this circle and Evie comes to save him, she is like trying to protect herself, trying to get Mateo to shift. Obviously, it ends happily. Jules, the head of the coven, her older sister, comes, siphons all of the power out of our villain character, and the villain literally turns into an old woman and hobbles away. That's how it ends. She turns into an old woman and she hobbles away. Where's the repercussions? Where's the punishment? Why did she just hobble away? What was the point of turning her into an old woman? I don't understand. And it felt so much like watching the ending of Tangled that I was just like, no. Now, spoiler free, I think that's a me problem. I think the ending is a me problem just because I really hate when villains do a monologue. It breaks the, not the fourth wall, the suspension of disbelief for me, because I'm like, why would this villain, who is incredibly powerful, has been doing this for such a long time, stop to explain their plan to the main character, the hero? And like, if I was the villain, I'm just killing you. Like, you don't need to know my plan. You're so unimportant. You are literally an ant in my path. I wouldn't stop to explain. And vice versa, if I was the hero, I wouldn't stop to listen to you explain. If you go into a monologue, I'm literally taking you down while you are still speaking, because I don't care what your reasoning is. To me, the monologue that the villain does is never for the hero. It's never for the villain. It's for the audience. So it breaks that fourth wall in a very uncomfortable way. With that said, I enjoyed it enough. It was definitely a low 3-star, but anything lower than 3-star would not be fair to the book. It was an enjoyable time as it was. Again, if you're a fan of Venom, I think that you would like this book. If you don't mind a villainous monologue, you might like this book. And if you don't mind a super cheesy ending, then you might like this book. So with that said, that brings a wrap to the 24-hour reading challenge. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know that I had so much fun reading these 4 books. I didn't get to much of my physical TBR, but I am happy that most of the books that I read were on my long-term digital TBR, so I'm happy to have gotten through that and get my Goodreads numbers back in balance. With that said, if you aren't already, please do subscribe if you like reading style videos. If you enjoyed this video, most of my videos follow this format for now. And with that said, I shall see you in my next one. Bye!